Hello, everybody. How you doing? Apparently, I screwed up. Not that that's ever happened in the past. I thought. Now that that's done, Tom, I got the link for the YouTube. Okay, stand by 1 second because I thought I sent the link to the show. Okay, now it's sent. Apologies. So I'm wondering, like, yay, ready when you are, and he was ready. So in a few seconds, we'll be joined by Raider Fester, who's and I should actually in fact, I need to make a banner right now. Okay, a new banner. Okay, yes. Let me make a new banner. Okay, banner. Yes, I'm gonna say. If you're watching on Wednesday, this is a live show. Okay. Thursday. You know what I'm going to say? Thursday show is a play-by-play of the Raiders. And I'm going to do that. I'm actually wondering what I was going to be doing. There we go. There we are. If you're watching on Wednesday, this is a live show. Thursday show is I'll be doing play-by-play live. Why? Because I haven't done it in a while. And we are now joined by my buddy, Raider Fester, with the light bulb. I see you. Is it on?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it was missing something.
It's like the Raiders. We were missing a little something there.
That joke writes itself.
Exactly. How you doing, Jack?
I'm good. And I was like, I sent you, and I was like, and it's my fault. I sent, or I had the thing, and I had it, the cop. I never sent the link until a couple seconds ago. So I'm like, I wonder why Fester isn't here, because I fucked up. But that's okay.
It's okay, Jack. Jack, the quarterback and receiver weren't on the same page. So we that's kind of appropriate for the season, don't you think?
Yeah, I thought something was going on, and you thought something was different, and then we couldn't meet in the middle. And that's a great segue, by the way. I couldn't. And congratulations, and a ding, like Rocky would have said in the movie, ding to that great segue of what was good, what was bad, and what was ugly about Sunday's game as we look together to third. By the way, folks, yes, this is freshly washed hair. So I will have that going up to Green Bay on Friday. It's gonna be 29 friggin' degrees. 29. I don't do 29 degrees. It's be a little nipply, but I'm not wearing any of my gear. So I'm going to bring my boots because they're probably about the warmest shoes that I have, and then I'll bring like extra socks and long johns and sweats. And I'm trying to figure out what jackets I'm going to wear. Like it's going to be sweatshirts and things like that. So I'll be a little nipply on Monday night, but I'm going to be there. Raider Man says my kind of weather, dude. If it gets below 60, it's freezing for me. So it's going to be quite freezing.
Here's the thing: I have been to Green Bay twice, both in September. But I will say this: when you're in Lambeau Field and the weather is bitter cold, and you have 60, 70,000 fans in there, it's not bitter cold. Trust me, it's a different kind of weather.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping you're right because I'm bringing for those who don't know, Steampunk's sister Betsy, who I had a chance to stay with, me and was it myself and Steampunk, and obviously Baron Raider, aka my buddy from Iowa. Okay, he was there with us along with two Eagles fans, Lou and Birdman. So yeah, two Eagles fans and three Raiders fans. We stayed over at Betsy's house with her consent. We didn't invade, with her consent, and we had a wonderful time at the draft. And I hit her up earlier. I said, "Hey, did anybody ask about the Eagles games?" I figured the Eagles guys would have asked, and I would have gone to the game with them, but they said no. I said, "Well, would you mind if I came in and watched that game, because the Raiders are going to play on Thursday, which you will talk about in a minute, and I want to see a real football game this year." So I bought the tickets for myself and a ticket for Betsy, because Betsy's a real big Packers fan, and we're going to enjoy a real football game. I don't know when Betsy's last been to a Packer game, but it's my pleasure to bring her, because she opened up her house again. And, I just want to show my appreciation to her for that.
And you'll get to see two things that Raider fans are familiar with. You'll get to see Josh Jacobs, and you'll get to see Nate Hobbs in street clothes.
That writes itself too. Oh boy.
So what'd you think about the game?
Oh, hang on. I gotta silence, because normally I don't have. I forgot that this phone is like loud as fuck when it comes to the announcement. What did I think about the game? Man, if you saw my Sunday show last night, because I didn't do a Sunday show until last night, I went about, and it was 2.5 hours. I just thought I'd just pop in and do a little bit of a show, but we were joined by Navman and Sharif, and even EMAC was there. And of course Kenna, who is currently talking, I'm sure, on the Wild Wild West show. And I asked him, I said, by the way, were you going to make a prediction? He goes, no, not until my show. And I'm glad he said that. Until my show. And that made me feel good inside, because he is taking the Wild Wild West show, which does air on this channel. That's Jack Kenna's show for the Raiders. So be sure, when you're not watching, because normally I wouldn't be on, but when you're not watching, myself and Fester talk about the Raiders, Wild Wild West on this channel with Jack Kenna is going to be talking. I don't know what his prediction is going to be, but I'm sure that he'll pop in after the show. And for those that are here, be sure to stay on this channel, because at 9:00 Eastern, 6 Pacific, I'll be doing an interview with Anitha and Jeff Barnes. Jeff Barnes, the great Raider linebacker and special teams player and overall awesome guy, on at 9:00 p.m. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody. But back to
Jeff Barnes, one of the true Raider characters.
Yes, he is. And I will say this, that the first time that I met Jeff Barnes, I was at Ricky's, and I think it was probably the first time that I had ever gone to Ricky's. It was one of my first trips to Oakland, and everybody said, "We got to do this, you got to do that, you got to go to Ricky's." So I went to Ricky's, and on the other side of the bar, there's this very large, burly, very happy-faced gentleman that's sitting on the other side of the bar, and he sees that I'm in my getup and whatnot. He goes, "Hey, come here, pirate." And so I come over, because he didn't know who I was yet. And I said, "Yes, sir, what can I do for you?" And he doesn't say, "Jeff Barnes, Oakland Raider, how you doing?" or something along those lines. And his big paws get at me. And I noticed the ring immediately. And he's like, "By the way, would you like a picture with the ring?" And I'm like, yes, that would be so awesome. So within like about a minute and a half of meeting Jeff Barnes, I'm having somebody take a picture of myself wearing Jeff's ring with Jeff. And Jeff was the first Raider that I can remember that allowed me to hang out with me and said hello to me and had a picture with the ring. and because he's just that way. He's very open and affable, and just a great dude. Which is kind of the opposite of how I felt after the game. Because you're going back to your question, okay? Because you wanted to, and I'm trying to mix all these things together. I felt good about the game up until I walked out, and I was just very, very disappointed. But I wasn't as upset as I had been during previous losses, because I was in DC with you when we got our ass kicked. I went to Kansas City 2 weeks earlier when we just got boat raced and got our ass kicked. Food was great, but the game sucked. I was there in Indianapolis during an ass whooping, and I think actually didn't Indy put the most points on us?
Yeah.
I think so. So I was, and that was horrible. I mean, I left happy during the Titans game, and I left happy at the beginning of the season. But for most of the other games, I just feel really, man, pissed off and upset. I didn't feel that way. I was disappointed that we couldn't put together a victory. And for all you people that were saying, well, we should have went for the tie, fuck you. Okay, I say that with kindness. You don't go for the tie when you're at home and you're in front of your crowd and you need a win. You go for the win, and I'm sure you're going to go into it. It was a woulda, coulda, shoulda win that we didn't just quite get. But I'll let you elaborate on that as well.
No, you're absolutely right, Jack. And when you're at home and there's less than a minute left in overtime, and even if you kick the extra point, it's going to end up in a tie, you definitely go for the win. Again, it's one of those situations where you remember at the end of I think it was the 2018 season, 2019 season. I can't remember, where they had Denver at the very end of the season,
Mm-hmm.
and they went for the 2-point conversion, and the same thing happened. It was batted down, and they lost 32-31. But again, you go for that 2-point conversion. You don't go for the tie. So don't fault him for that at all. I don't know how in the world you miss a wide open Tyler Lockett in the back of the end zone. And I've heard several people comment, you just have to look at Jordan Meredith and say it's your responsibility in the interior to knock down the defensive lineman's hands when you're in the interior. That's what you've got to do, because again, if he does his job, then and the guy doesn't get his hands up, then pass goes across.
Yeah, I agree, but not quite. I mean, being an offensive lineman, I understand that it's your job to kind of lock them up. But if you're talking about batting at the hands or making sure that he gets his hands down, that would have been a holding call, or it would have been some sort of penalty just by the actions of taking your hands outside the body, the way that it is. Or okay, if it's not a holding call, it probably would have been called some sort of penalty, which would have negated the play.
Maybe so. But again, it's amazing that despite the fact that I think that Gino actually played Lawrence kind of straight up and actually did him a little bit better. One of the other ESPN analysts said if you had taken Bo Nix and had him perform the way he did this past week against the Raiders, the Broncos would have got boat raced. Because he did not have that great a game. They had to rely totally on the defense. Now, the offense came out at the end, and we're starting to match the Jaguars drive for drive, which is something, again, we haven't seen this year. But when you think about the fact that the game really came down to like a handful of things. Number one, it came down to a Daniel Carlson missed extra point. And then you turn right around and the Jaguars get that 68-yard field goal at the record-setting field goal at the end of the first half. So there's two plays. Then you have the long drive that the Raiders got all the way down to first and goal at the 1 and still can only come away with 3 points instead of 7. Then on top of that, you score the touchdown and have a 4-point lead with 1:52 left, and the defense can't get you off the field to where the Jaguars tied up and sent it into overtime. And then, of course, you have the missed 2-point opportunity. So the Raiders, despite all their faults, they had several situations where, again, the game could have easily fallen their way. But none of those five things happened. If any of those five things had happened, then we've been talking a victory. But none of those five things happened.
Yeah,
So
and disheartening, is that a decent word? That for upset, kind of disappointed, disheartened. Yeah,
I would say probably typical. I hate saying that, but again, given the situation of this year and how this situation is playing out, it's been pretty typical. I don't know that there's any way that we can really change that. I really believe strongly, and Jack, you and I have talked about this, that you need to play the young guys. And now maybe this is the wake up call for Pete to then come in and say, look, the young guys got to play. And this is where we really see, okay, what is Grant made of? What is Rogers made of? What is Tank made of? Again, we have to start putting those younger pieces in and seeing exactly what is going to happen. I'm kind of surprised, to be honest with you. They pulled the trigger on Jacoby Myers. I'm surprised actually that they didn't at least make an effort, and maybe they did, to deal Tyree Wilson. I'm not sure. Maybe there weren't any takers. I don't know, but it seems to me, and again, I like Tyree Wilson a lot as a player, but he just hasn't delivered. He's been with the team for 3 seasons now. I think we've seen what we're going to see, so it's time to change the tires on that. Really, no pun intended. Tyree Wilson, time to change the tires. But
yeah,
again,
good
didn't intend for that to come out, but
one.
it did. So be it. The Raiders are kind of married to uh, number 51 right now, Coots on the outside. And of course, I don't think Max is going anywhere. But you've got to build up that talent. You got and again, I will say this, and maybe this is too early to think about, and maybe it's too early to project. But I keep looking back at the Ed Winchell says, "Who's Tyree Wilson?" That's probably a good question. I think he's the guy that wears number 9 for the Raiders. I believe that's correct. Uh,
Well,
and
that's Ted Williams, isn't it? Number 9.
no, Tyree Wilson's wearing number 9. Oh yeah,
No,
Ted Williams. Yeah,
yeah, I was gonna
yeah,
say that's more 9 that I know of, anyway. But,
yeah. Well, Ted Williams is dead. Oh, okay. I digress. Never mind. So, but I keep looking back, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I keep looking back at the 1989 Dallas Cowboys draft and what they did in the draft. I'm looking ahead to next year.
mm,
What the Cowboys did is they had a first and 2 seconds, I think, or two. No, they had two firsts and a second because they traded back up in the first round. They got Troy Aikman, number 1 overall. Now, there's not a number 1 overall draft pick, and the way the Raiders are set to draft now, it would be probably either fifth or sixth. If that were to be the case, I've got my eyes on a couple of players, an offensive tackle and a quarterback. Now, which goes first, I don't really care, as long as you get a good quality player for one of those two picks. But I think if you follow what the Giants did, now what the Giants did this past year is they traded a second, a third, and a sixth, and they moved back up into the first round and got Jackson Dart, who is now their quarterback of the future. If the Raiders can draft a really, really good offensive lineman and at the very beginning of the round, and then draft back up and then get a quarterback in the top end of the first round, who again may not be a true franchise quarterback, but can at least be a guy that you can turn the reins over to and say, we can develop. Uh, and Raider Man says number 7 right now. And again, number 7 right now, that might move up to number 5. Or there might be a situation where you could take some of the draft capital you have and maybe move up a couple of spots. Uh,
yeah,
Fano, the offensive lineman from Utah, is a guy I really, really like. And I think he's probably going to go top 5. If you can make a deal and move up and grab him, and then toward the back end of the first round, grab a guy like maybe John Mateer, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. That's the guy that I'm looking at. Now, if you can nab those two guys in the first round, look very similar to what the Giants did. The Giants got a stud defensive end in the 3rd overall pick, and then they got their quarterback of the future. If the Raiders can get an offensive lineman of the future and then draft a quarterback and do that all in the first round. They've got 10 picks right now. And I think if they were able to make a couple more deals, they could get a couple more draft capital pieces that they can move around. Now, this is where I've got to trust that Spytek can do what he can do. But I at least hope that the Raiders can come close to positioning themselves to either getting back into the first round at the end, or maybe moving up toward the top of the second round, or maybe getting an additional second round pick. So 2 firsts and a second, or a first and 2 seconds, is what I would hope for. Because again, that would give you 3 key pieces going into next year. Obviously, you've got JPJ. Obviously, you've got Max. Obviously, you've got Genty. You've got Mayer. You've got a couple of other pieces as well. I think Darian Porter is starting to improve. I think the more he plays, the more I like what I see. Again, you're going to have some other people step up, but I think that's a good place to start. But I'd like to see the Raiders get 2 offensive linemen and a quarterback in their first 3 picks. And again, it's really, really early to project, but you and I have talked about this. You got to get those lines established. And when you look at that 1989 Cowboys draft, they drafted 2 offensive linemen who lasted at least 10 years apiece. And took them to 3 Super Bowls, all of which they won, and they had a Hall of Fame quarterback. So you've got to get your quarterback of the future, but you also have to get some help for that offensive line. And the offensive line, they did well enough to score points this past week. So I see some light there, but you just got to add more to it. And I think Chip Kelly will be better if they can get a better line to provide some blocking and provide some confidence for whoever's calling the signals. Now, Geno is only a placeholder right now. I don't expect him to last any longer than maybe next year. Maybe if you bring a quarterback of the future in, he's just going to be waiting for either Geno to go down to injury or for them to just pull out that giant hook like they used to in the Gong Show and pull him out and insert the new guy in. But I think we're at the point now where you have to think about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, by the way, Ed, I'm going to answer your question right now, okay? And never let it be said that Ed Winchell and Sharif Saleh Khan, a.k.a. Black Thanos, aren't spouting the same bullshit, okay? And I love Ed, and I love Sharif, but my God, Spytek's been in the – he hasn't been in the building since but this year. This year, 1925. I thought it was 1920. 2025. He hasn't been in the building but this year. It's only the 11th month. He hasn't even been here a year. So, what has he done? Well, he's drafted the players based upon the structure of what was left for him by Tom Fiasco, if you go by Sharif's name for Telesco. So, Fiasco's scouting department grabbed him ex-players, and he drafted those players. He drafted Grant and Rogers, 98 and 99. He drafted Darian Porter, and he drafted Genty along with Jack Besh, okay? So we have a lot of cap room. So maybe, and I would say maybe it's likely, he whiffed on Alex Crappa. He whiffed on Alex Crappa. Okay, I get it. That was kind of like a good deal from a guy that used to be able to play well when he was in Tampa Bay. He whiffed on it. I get it. He whiffed on it. But, I said that what he has done draft-wise and putting this team together has been fantastic, okay? So Sharif and Ed, for my brothers out there, and I say this with love, shut the fuck up, okay? I want to see – now, if Spytek doesn't do shit in next year's draft and if they don't get any better on the free agent pickups, that will be – then you can start bitching about Spytek. Okay, I wouldn't call it a huge whiff on Geno, Raider man. By the way, I will say this for like the 3rd or 4th show in a row. If you don't like Geno Smith, blame Tom Brady. Blame Tom Brady because according to a person with very awesome access to within the Raiders realm, not on the team, but within the inner circle of what the fuck is going on. It was Tom Brady that brought in Geno Smith, and he said, "Nah, I don't, nah, not Darnold. We're going to go get Geno." So it wasn't Pete that brought in him, but he does have familiarity with it. Now, was Brady thinking that maybe the familiarity would be better for Pete? Possibly, probably even so. Okay. But Brady also, according to another source, is the guy that brought in Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly came to this team because Brady brought him in to talk to him. And if Brady wasn't there, he probably would have said, "Nah, I'm good. I'm making money at Ohio State with the national championship. I'm good." So the people that are bitching about Carroll and the people that are bitching about Chip Kelly, it comes down to the fucking offensive line. And I'm going to swear when I say those words together, fucking offensive line. But give it time. Give it time. Give Chip Kelly time to have those plays run. Should we run more? Sure. But you don't run well if you're running behind fucking Swiss cheese and plyboard. And what's the stuff that's behind the wall? I always ask this. I can't remember it. There you go.
That's asbestos.
Yeah, the asbestos shit that's behind the walls. Okay, there's nothing there. So give it time. Okay, I'm willing to give Spytek time. I'm willing to give Chip Kelly time. I'm willing to give Pete Carroll time. Why? Because I'm not doing anything else. They're not calling me up and say, "Hey, Captain Jack, what are you doing? What are your thoughts?" Because they don't watch the show. Okay, you are what your record is. I get it, Ed. You are what your record is. That's fine. But if you're going to play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game, we should have beat the Bears, and we should have won yesterday, which means instead of being 2-7, we'd be 4-5, which is close to where we should be. We got our asses kicked by the Commanders. We got our asses kicked by the Chiefs. We got our asses kicked by the Colts. What was the other loss? Oh, we got our asses kicked by the Chargers. There's 4 right there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Two things on that. Number one, we really don't know at this point. We've been told a variety of things, but we really don't know who truly holds the power in the building. We've been led to believe it's Spytek, but we really don't know. We've been told that maybe it's Tom Brady. By all appearances, it seems like Pete Carroll really has a lot of control over comings and goings, but again, we really don't know. We were told that Tom Telesco had full power and full control when he took over as GM. Not so much. He got right out of the building in less than a year, but we've seen that before. So again, it's like I told you, Mark Davis is just not confident in the people that he brings in. He's not willing to give them time. Now, if Spytek is the guy, if Spytek is the guy he's really been waiting for, it's going to take a couple of years and a couple of bumpy years, I think, to get it to its point. I was speaking to Johnny Donuts a couple of nights ago, and I said, "Here's my thought. This team is 1 draft away from being a 500 team and 2 drafts away from being a playoff team." And I still believe that. Now, again, you could be close to 500 and still maybe squeak into the playoffs. It's doubtful. Now you have to pretty much have to win 10 or 11 games to get in. An 8-9 or 9-8 record is probably not going to do it as competitive as it is. But again, I think one more solid draft can get this Raiders team to 8-9 or 9-8, which I think all of us would be thrilled with right now. Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to take 2 drafts really to get us back into solid playoff contention. And that's not horrible. And again, I know for all Raider fans who are just starved for wins and starved for playoffs, having only had 2 in the last 20 years, I mean, we want it now. But it has to come with success, and success has to come with a foundation. And we don't have a foundation. We don't. We keep tearing down to the studs every other year or every year. So until you start building that foundation up to where you can truly say, yes, we have it, and now we're building on it, you can't make that statement. Now, the other thing I will say is Chip Kelly, when you're at Ohio State, and you're playing teams like Purdue week in and week out, when you've got the best talent in the nation going up against Purdue and Northwestern and maybe the University of Central Iowa Wesleyan Tech, you're going to have a lot of success. I'm not saying that Chip Kelly is not going to translate over to the NFL, but you just got to give it time because on this league, everybody is good. Everybody is quick. Everybody's fast. Everybody has a game plan. And if you don't have a strong offensive line, you can't make your weapons work. It doesn't really matter what you do. And we've seen that a lot out of Geno. Now they played much better this past week, and I felt bolstered by the fact that they were able to respond and score some points against Jacksonville toward the end of the game. But you got to see that more consistently, and you have to see that against some good defenses. Jacksonville's got a good defense. Denver has a much better defense than
Hmm.
Jacksonville. So you're
Yeah.
not going to score all those points. Now, I was hoping when we got on last week, I said if the Raiders were able to win against Jacksonville, maybe that could kind of give them enough confidence to take it week by week, maybe have a strong showing on the road against Denver, and then come home and win against both Dallas and the Browns. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a 4-game winning streak, and things look much different to the fan base and also to the locker room than it does right now. I think right now you're in the same situation in the locker room that you have been for the past 4 weeks.
Yeah. And I want to address that one real quick. 'Cause again, we're talking about it's the Raiders used to be like a what was it, a tango team? Well, what's the tango? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
Is that or
yeah.
cha-cha?
Cha-cha, yeah.
A cha-cha. 1, 2, 3, fire. 1, 2, 3, fire. 1, 2, 3, fire. Okay. There's no continuity there, and Pete signed a 3-year contract. Now I like that. The fact Pete Carroll at 74 is healthier than I am. Maybe that's not saying a lot because he only has me by 14 years, but I feel like I'm about 106 at times. Okay. He's healthier than I am. Tom, I don't know if he's healthier than you, but I would venture to say that he's probably healthier than half the people in the audience that are watching right now. He
He's in
runs.
better shape than I am.
Thank you. He's in better shape. Okay. And the teams can relate to him if they want to. That's a big if. If they want to, if they're buying in. Pete Carroll is a coach who has won a national championship in college, who has won a Super Bowl, could have been 2 if Darrell Bevel wouldn't have fucked up the call. So, and
Should have
even
been 2.
Navman and even Navman and I were talking about, well, he's not a highly decorated, but he is a decorated head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's a highly decorated football coach. That was last night's discussion. But
And he's highly respected as well.
yes, he is highly respected. And I love you too, Ed. But that's just going on. So if I'm going to yell at you and Sharif, it's buddies yelling at buddies, okay? But I think we can do this. And I do tend to be patient.
I am not giving up on this season. I am not. And again, I'm not sure how many more games we'll win. If it's 1 or 2 more games, 3, and I hope we at least win more games than we did last year. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to throw in the towel. I'm not like a lot of Raiders fans that say, "Okay, I'm done. I'm done. They suck. We're horrible. I'm going to just not watch any more football." I want to see what these new guys have. I want to watch them develop. I want to see who's going to be carried over from this year to next year. We know we have some pieces, but who's going to be fill out the balance? We have some good chess pieces. We just don't have a lot of depth,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been borne out. I hope now that with Jacoby being traded, that we'll really start to get some work out of the young guys and see what we have. Now there's no choice. The guys have to step up. And I'll be honest with you, I think with Jacoby gone, I think that locker room is going to be lightened a little bit. I think you might see a spring in the step of some of the guys who are coming out and saying, "Okay, we've made a change. I feel a little change in the air here. I feel like I can fly around and not be as encumbered as I was before." Where people were saying, "We got to win this game against Jacksonville. We got to win this game against Jacksonville." Instead, I think when they go into Denver, they can say, "We can win against Denver. Maybe we won't, but we can." I think
Mhm.
that's the difference in the mindset. It's replacing the desperate thoughts with potential. And I think that's what the Raiders have to latch on to right now is the potential that they have and lean on that and say, okay, what pieces do we have that we can start to really polish a little bit and make them better? And that's where you look at Grant. That's where you look at Rodgers and maybe shift things up a little bit. I've even said bring in Will Putnam. Put him at center, bring him in and see what you got, and put
I
Cap on the
agree.
bench.
Oh my God, I agree with that so much. And I'm an offensive line coach. I am not a professional offensive line coach, but I would like to see a more competent center. If that's JPJ, great. If it's not JPJ, then fucking put Putnam in there. And Meredith is a nice guy, and his mom is very nice too. But nice guys finish last if you listen to Leo DeRocher. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't want a nice guy playing center. I want somebody that's going to be able to fucking handle the line calls, which is why they said the JPJ has some issues. And I think that's a smokescreen because there's issues between Carroll, the younger, and JPJ, and Chip Kelly, the OC, and JPJ. There's issues there. I don't care. I don't care what the personality issues were. Fucking John Madden had personality issues, or he had personalities that he had to deal with as a coach in the 70s, and we fucking played great because he dealt with them. Okay. So I'm just saying this needs to be taken care of, and I'm hoping it will be.
I like my next door neighbor a lot, but there's no way I'd put him in a uniform and put him out with the Raiders. I feel the same way about Meredith. I like him a lot, but he's just not doing the job. You got to
Yeah.
sit his butt down. That's the
And
reality of the situation.
didn't they sign a guy from the Patriots under the practice squad who's an offensive lineman that has some starting experience?
You too much Stone Forsythe.
No. And that was the other thing. He said he's got a lot of Seahawks. I'm like, okay, other than Forsythe, other than Geno Smith, who was there, and other than picking up Tyler Lockett, I don't know of any other former Seahawk on the team. Maybe you can tell me, but none of them come to mind. I don't know of
Former Seahawks that are on the Raiders?
team. Yes, and we just got Tyler Lockett. Okay, we got Geno Smith, and Stone Forsythe was picked up right at the beginning of the season as a backup when we cut Mumford. Okay, I don't know of any other Seahawks on the team. I might have missed it, but talk to me if I'm missing something. I don't know of a whole shit ton of Seattle Seahawks on this team.
I think we had a chance to bring in Reek Woolen from the defensive backfield, but we haven't made a trade or negotiated for that. And yeah, and I know that Seattle has in their linebacking core the guy that the Raiders drafted, Drake, and he's turned out to be pretty stable. He's a guy that I really wanted the Raiders to hang on to, but they let him go. So once again, Raiders that are getting out of the building, letting the wrong ones go.
And we know, Ed, I know what your feelings are concerning ownership, but
Yeah.
until such a time that actually happens, I'm not even going to entertain the thought. That's something I won't even entertain. But like I said, talk to me about he's a favorite towards Seahawks. Who? Geno? Geno was one. Stonehand's holding call, bad penalty. Forsythe was number 2, and we just brought in Lockett. And Lockett was brought in because of his familiarity with Geno to begin with, and the fact that Jacoby Myers was on strike since day one. I ain't giving up my body, and we got rid of him. We got a 4 and a 6, and I like that. I'm sorry.
We need to do more. We need to get more draft capital because I want to see us move up to be able to get 2 first-round picks or a first and 2 seconds. I think that will really start to become the foundation for building on the pieces we already have to put us in a much better position next year. I'm not sure how many total picks we'll end up with, but I think we need to assemble the capital that we have. And this is where Spytech can really butter his bread and determine what kind of GM he is. If he is the one that's pulling the strings and making all the decisions. If it's Brady, again, we have to ask ourselves, is Brady really committed to the Raiders, or is he kind of doing this as a part-time gig between that and doing his broadcasting? I don't know. We've been told that he's really devoted to helping to build the Raiders, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the full commitment level. So again, it's a matter of who has control of it right now and who has control of it going forward. We can't have a situation where we can say, okay, it may be Spytech this year, maybe Brady. We have to definitively know. We have to know who's making the decisions, who has firm control of this thing, and who are we going to either give the credit to or pin the blame on. Uh, right now, I think year to year, we don't have that, and we don't know. So I think that's what has left us in limbo a lot, and that's why there's such a desperation for the fact that the Raiders have to win now because everybody who's here now could be gone next year.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is I did say, and shoot me if I'm wrong. Didn't I say this was year 0 of the Pete Carroll regime? Not year 1. It was year 0. It will be year 1 by the end of the year when we figure out who's going to stay, who is bought in, and who is not. Okay. So year 1 will probably be about week 15 or so, or week 14. There's like 3 games left in week 14 or whatever, however, it's like 3 or 4 games left. That's year 0 because, or the year 1, because this is all training camp for next year, for who's going to be here, minus draft picks that we pick up, minus people that we get in free agency. This is where we're started. And Ed, I agree with you about ownership, but unless the NFL does what they did to Dan Snyder and made him sell his team, or the NFL steps in and does to the guy who used to own the Panthers and make him sell his team, it's not happening. It's not, because Mark
hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything nearly to the extent of what those other guys have done. So they won't do that. You've got to really be in a situation where the league has to say, in order for you to keep owning this team, it's going to damage the brand. The Raider brand is still popular, and Raider Nation is not going anywhere. Now they're not winning, but they're not trashing as far as the fan base is concerned.
Right.
Now, I'm going to say something that a lot of people, listeners, may find blasphemous, but I'm going to go ahead and say it anyway. All right? Are you ready?
Yep.
Daniel Carlson's done after this year because they're due to pay him some money. He's due to make a big payday, and it's not just because he missed the extra point. He's had some really, really good years with the Raiders, but you have to change. You have to change. Bring in a good young kicker. Have some competition. And if the kicker's not good, you switch him out like teams do year in and year out. But I think that Daniel Carlson, with the big number coming up, you've got other needs on the team. You've got other things that you need to pay. And regardless of how great Daniel Carlson has been over the last few years, I think you have to make a change, or at least think about making a change, saving some money there and putting the money other places, like the defensive line, the linebackers. Start focusing on key free agents and looking at using that cap room to your advantage, not to your disadvantage. And I think if you lock him up, that's going to be a waste of money, I think, in my opinion, because if you're paying a lot of money for a guy who you're counting on kicking field goals when your team can't score touchdowns, that's a defeated attitude. That's just a defeated way of looking at it. And again, I'm not saying I hate Daniel Carlson, because I don't. I love everything he's done for the team, but he needs to bow out in favor of a younger kicker. And again, no skinny, nothing against him, but this is just the way I think it needs to go.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. For folks that don't remember, Carlson was cut after a week 1 loss when he was on the Vikings, and he shanked a couple field goals, and they cut him. Yet they cut him that week, and we picked him up. So it was hey, well, he was better than what we had at the time. You can ask me who the kicker was that we had before Carlson, and I'd go look it up because I don't remember who it was. Well, we picked up Carlson, and he's been fine, and at times great since then. But if he's going to be,
we had a guy named Eddie Pinheiro who wasn't horrible.
Yeah, but Steady Eddie wasn't steady.
True. It wasn't horrible, but again, Carlson has certainly been very dependable. But you can't tie up a lot of money with that guy.
Yeah, Raider Math. Yeah, it was 3 field goals, and that he probably didn't even make the flight home. And it was so long ago. It was so long ago that the Vikings were playing outdoors. It was before. Yep. It was before they even finished their new stadium. So go look that up. That's a while. What was that 7, 8, 9 years ago? Because he's been on
something like that. It was in between the Metrodome and their new stadium. I think they were playing where the Minnesota Golden Gophers play their home games.
Yeah, it was at UM, not Michigan.
US Bank Stadium or something like that.
Yeah, well, US Bank Stadium is where they're playing now, but they're playing.
Okay.
They were playing at the College Stadium, and he missed 3 field goals, and the Raiders picked him up because he was better than what we had. Yeah, and 2 of them were 30. Yeah, he shanked the hell out of, and had he made the extra point, it's a different game.
The one I was thinking about was Tavecchio.
Oh, Alex Tavecchio, yeah.
No, Giorgio Tavecchio.
Oh, okay, well, that was a joke. But anyway, Giorgio is okay, but my God, we've needed a kicker since Jano left, and it's been a long time. So, God, I'm hot. I got to take my brand new salute to service hat off. But yeah, Carlson. Hey, Carlson and Cole make up the best tandem kickers in the league. I get that, and I tell you what, I hope they don't get rid of AJ Cole until it's a year later than what they need to get, because I'll take AJ Cole until his foot falls off.
That's different. Punters can truly be a defensive weapon, and of course, our buddy number 8 proved that year after year after year. Ray Guy turned out to be one of the best defensive weapons in the NFL year after year. Mm-hmm. If you got a guy like AJ Cole who could do very similar things, again, that's a defensive weapon. If a kicker, on the other hand, misses a field goal, that puts your defense in a hole. So there's a difference.
And I tell you, Tom, we got about a half an hour before I got to bow out to the other show that I have on. I just want to make sure I keep you on, but not too late as well.
I've got about 15 minutes as well. So yeah.
Good. Then let's try to shift focus on what's going on tomorrow night, because as you guys said, I'm going to have a show tomorrow, but I'm going to do play-by-play because I'm going to sit and watch the fucking game. It'll be the first game that I watch this year where I'm at home on TV watching the game. So I will do play-by-play. So what are your thoughts on, and even, what was it? Kenna was saying, and actually Navman was saying that the way the Broncos have an excellent defense. But if you run 12 and 13 personnel and they double Bowers, that could make other people feast, up to and including, Ian Thomas, up to and including Michael Mayer, up to and including whoever the wide receiver is that we trot out there to get some touches. And I would love to see Tucker in the thin air of Mile High, with Gino probably throwing a lot better, okay, Oh, thank you here, Raider man. I appreciate you being here to listen to that show as well. But let's get him. And remember, Tucker's our number one receiver right now, based upon catches and strengths and what he's shown this year. And even though he's undersized, he's still the best receiver we got on this team. Lockett's a good person to have, but Tucker's the guy, in my estimation.
Well, Jack, we were talking last week about the Raiders running more 13 personnel, and they actually did that. They didn't do it as much as I would have liked, but again, the 13 personnel I think would really benefit the Raiders for two reasons. Number one, you give Geno a little bit of extra time to find for the second look or whatever the cutter across the middle, as long as he doesn't throw those hospital balls, the ones that end up with the receiver in the hospital. But it can allow more time there, or the tight ends rubbing off of the defensive end or linebacker being up there in the middle for a good 10 to 12-yard gain. But what that will also do is that will open up the run game. The Raiders would run, and then they'd get stonewalled, and then say, okay, we're giving up on the run. So Genty is one of those backs that the more you feed him and the more he gets his touches into the ball, just like Jacobs did back in 2019 and 2020, the more you feed him the ball, the better he gets. And if you start to grind that defense down a little bit, even a good defense like Denver, you're going to start to get some gashes and start to get some really good holes and some pickups. That again opens up the short passing game. So I think Chip Kelly has got to do a combination of 13 personnel, get the tight ends involved, and then help to open up that run game, and then really hit the run game, and not get stymied if you run him into the line and he gets no gain and just give up and say, okay, well, we can't run, so let's just pass. I think the Raiders have been too quickly giving up on the run game. You got to salt it away a little bit more with confidence. Now, again, the blockers have to block, but I think that's what I would see. I can see the Broncos coming in with a little overconfidence. They're playing in a nationally televised game. They've got a 1-game lead over the Chargers. Right now, they've got a 2-game lead over the Chiefs. So, again, they're sitting pretty. They're sitting about where we thought they would be at this point of the season. We both said that they were going to win the division, and they are leading. But, again, with the Raiders coming off a fairly good showing against Jacksonville, who's a good team. They beat the Chiefs, by the way. I think the Raiders can come in and make a statement. Now, if they can hold strong, if they can hold the game close in the first half, maybe if Bo Nix turns the ball over once or twice, maybe all of a sudden the Raiders are in a position where they can amazingly either win or be within one score getting toward the end. If that's the case, you never know what's going to happen. I still don't see the Raiders winning. Having said that, see them falling to 2-7 at the end of the game. But again, if we can have another showing fairly close to what we had against Jacksonville, I think that bodes well for the two upcoming games against Dallas and the Browns. Those are the two games I'm looking at. So if you can have a good showing against Denver, I'm looking hopefully for wins against Dallas and Cleveland, and that would put us at 4-7, which again, it's much better than 2-9 or whatever. But again, we just have to take it one game at a time, and the Broncos game, we just can't get blown out.
Now, and it did come to my attention yesterday that Patrick Surtain is out, and boy, right on cue too. Right on cue, Richie Riche comes in here to elaborate. Richie, thank you for coming over from the Wild Wild West show. I'm sure we'll probably have Jack Kenna come in a little bit as well. Richie Riche, talk to me about, because this is the guy to talk about. He knows with Patrick Surtain out, who are going to be those people that are going to be playing for the Broncos against the Raiders. And Richie is, in the past, has stated Richie has picked the Raiders to win several games, including the one against the Chiefs, including another one who escapes me. So it's not lost upon me. Patrick will still pick off Geno, not from the hospital, maybe from the sidelines, Raider man, maybe from the sidelines on an errant pass. But who's going to be the team or the people that are going to be that the Raiders will have to be going up against? And do you think the Raiders would fare well in 12 and 13? Because that's what we're talking about, personnel to get this team going. And and if Richie does that, great. But if not, what are your thoughts on that, there, Tom? How the Raiders can. Yeah, and you said you don't predict them to win, but I don't think and I'm gonna knock wood on this. I don't know if you hear that or not. I think that I don't expect the Raiders to be as embarrassed as they were against the Chiefs. I don't predict them to be as Raiders to be as totally devastated as they were against the Garglers the first time in Vegas. But what are your thoughts there? And
On
yes,
the depth chart, the other guy, and Richie can back me up on this, but the guy they have playing opposite Patrick Surtain is Riley Moss. They really don't have anybody backing up Pat Surtain as far as the depth chart goes. But now the guy who's backing up Riley Moss is Chris Abrams Drain. So you're probably looking at Moss and Abrams Drain as being your guys that cover. And again, I'm not sure what that means. If Chris Abrams Drains is the guy, uh, there's a green guy that he's out of Missouri. Doesn't really have a whole lot of pedigree going. That could be the guy that you pick on. And of course, anytime you line up Brock Bowers, you're looking at a nightmare lineup anyway. This is something that we talked about a lot back when Darren Waller was the tight end for the Raiders. That he played like a wide receiver. You could very easily split him out wide, and you could play two tight ends and then have him as the split out. So you could have like an adapted 13 personnel where you can have the three tight ends and then just kind of slide Bowers out a little bit into either a slot or put him on the line as a split end. Again, that's a possibility, and if you have that against a green corner, wow! I mean, you're talking at all kinds of potential there, particularly with Surtain out. So we'll see who they line up in place of Surtain and see if Geno picks on him, and if so, that receiver could end up having a pretty big game.
yeah, and therein lies the question: who do you think the Raiders are going to have as their receivers tomorrow night? I mean, we know that Bowers and May are going to be out there. We think that Ian Thomas is going to be out there at least in some portions of a 13 personnel. But who do you think the Raiders are going to have as their primary wide receivers next year? Or not next year, boy, that's a Freudian slip. Next game, I was going to say next week, but next week is already here tomorrow. And can we see more of Genty getting those, little flip passes, wheel routes out of the backfield, because he was successful getting those yards this past game, and I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah. I think you got to see a lot of Jack Besh. I do. I'm not saying that Jack Besh is the best receiver that we have of that group. I think that probably falls on Trey Tucker right now from experience and speed combined. If we can get Thornton in the game, that's great. But I think this is where you really have to see what you have in Jack Besh. This is where you have to lean on him and say, okay, what kind of versatility do you have? What kind of hands do you have? What kind of route running ability do you have? And let's see you put it together. Maybe this is the game where we unveil him truly and introduce him to the world as far as football goes. But I think Trey Tucker's still your number one right now, just by default. But I do think that this is the game where you need to see a lot of Jack Besh and see what he's really capable of and see what he can bring to the table truly as a number two receiver, because that's what you brought him in for. So you need to go ahead and turn it over to him and say, okay, what do you have? Show it.
Okay. And any further things we got to talk about before and for those that didn't hear it, I will be doing a show. What's it, 7:30 tomorrow night? Is the game
7:30 or 8:30? I think it's at 8:30 because it's I don't know. I'll have to double check, but I know since it's in Denver, it starts an hour before, and then I think it's 7:30 local time there. So I think it's 8:30. Oh, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
so I will be on. I'll do a show. It's not going to be the regular Thursday show. I mean, I will be actually talking to the screen, and I'll give you guys play by play for those that don't have, the Prime. Providing that they don't pull some bullshit, because I got to make sure that my Prime is working. But if all is well, I will be doing play by play of what's going on with the Raiders game tomorrow.
Is it 8:15 Eastern?
Okay, there you go. So I'll be on. I'll be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
8:15 Eastern, so that would be 6:15 Denver time.
Mm-hmm. And Ed Winchell, that's 5:15 for you. Okay. So if you're not going to watch, if you don't have, I don't know if Ed has Prime or not. Ed, I'll do. Listen to me. I'll let you know what's going. I will give you play by play. For anybody that doesn't have Prime, I'll give you play by play, and I'll be doing things that they can't do on TV. I will swear when there are swear words that need to be said, and you can't get that. You can't get that from anybody. But
I will say this, Jax. Finally, I will say that when you watch the first quarter of the game tomorrow night, that'll probably be all you'll need to see. That'll let you know how the game is going to go. If it's a close game, again, that'll let you know whether the Raiders could potentially win, but they're not going to come from way behind. If they fall way behind, this team doesn't play from behind. They don't. So if they jump out to a lead, they could possibly hang on. If they keep it close within a one-score game, they could possibly win at the end. But if they fall down by more than 10 points in the first quarter, it's done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that feeling in Kansas City. I felt like the old song, "Whoops, there goes another TD by Mahomes." It's like Rubber Tree Plant. It was 7, it was 14, it was 21 at the half, and there was nothing going on, and it was just horrible.
I don't think they punted to the fourth quarter.
Okay, well, Jack, I'm okay. For those who want to listen to the game from a real Raiders fan, okay.
Yeah.
Not saying anything that I didn't just say, but if you want to get a play-by-play from somebody who actually knows about the Raiders and is a real Raiders fan and is at least a 50-year Raiders fan, watch my show. And I'm not that I'm going up against Renz will have his thousands of people watching, I'm sure. But if you want to listen to somebody who actually gives a shit about what's going on, just listen to me. I won't give you. I won't show you what's going on. I don't want to get a YouTube strike. But I'll give you. I know I'll give you better play-by-play than Renz. That much I can guarantee.
Mitchell wants you to follow him and buy his merch. There you go.
Yeah,
I said it.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself. So final predictions. Okay, I want you to give final predictions by if we're playing well in the first quarter. And if we're totally just friggin' getting boat raced in the first quarter.
I will. I'll chime in on that, and I'll kind of give you my first quarter prognostication.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll jump in during the chat.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it'll be like a Jack Kenneth thing. I'll leave it till tomorrow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Thom, aka Raider Fester, aka T3. And there it is. There's the Fester. Oh, I got to get rid of the banner so you guys can actually see this. Okay, that's the guy, Raider Fester, T3 Sports Guy on YouTube. Make sure you go see him. And for Christmas, we need to get him a working light bulb.
Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get that going. Absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Jack, take care. I will jump in during the chat and during the first quarter and give you my analysis of basically what I see, and let's keep our fingers crossed. But again, Raider Nation, do not give up hope. That we're building the foundation now, and as long as we stick to our guns and continue to build this thing, add some pieces along the way, winning is coming. It may not come as quick as we would all like, but it's going to be there. And remember, Raider Nation, the nation is undefeated. We just have to stick to what we have, stick to each other, and know that it's coming. And when it finally comes, and the sweetness will be there, it'll be sweet. We just have to trust the process and know who's driving the bus.
Hoorah. I like that. And I want to see it. I can say this. I used to say I want to see another Super Bowl before I die. I will still say that. But I'd like to see a winning season, nay, a AFC West championship before I die. Not that I'm going to settle for that, but that's my next what I hope to get before I croak.
I'd settle for a playoff win.
Okay, well, yeah, that's close about what I wanted to do as well. But
Yeah,
hey, Tom, thanks again for joining me here, brother.
Hey, Jack, thanks, and we'll check in by the chat tomorrow.
All right, thanks again. Hey, and
right.
Congrats for just being you. You know, I appreciate you being the guy that you are, man.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I don't lose faith in our team. I may lose faith in some of the plays and the processes, but I'm a Raider fan. I'm not jumping off the ship, and I'll be right there. I'll be right there.
And you get the Ed Winchell seal of approval as well.
Nice. All right. Okay. Well, listen, we'll check in tomorrow, and I'll look forward to getting together in next week.
For sure. And thanks there, Tom. I'm gonna end this broadcast. Come back in about 18 minutes. 18 minutes where we'll have the next show. It'll be Jeff Barnes, Raider Super Bowl winner from the 80s, on here talking Raider football. Y'all take care.
Be a good one. All right. Take care.
Thanks again, Tom. All right. There's Tom. And I'll end it with this. Come back in a little bit. Like I said, in about 15 minutes or so, come back to this channel. Jeff Barnes will be here with me. So take care, everybody. We'll see you in just a little bit.